Hey there, it's Joe from Oops All Games here, and we've got some exciting news coming to us from the Nintendo side of things. After days and weeks of speculation wondering when Nintendo would finally break their silence on their newest system, it appears the successor to the Nintendo Switch has finally been revealed. On its surface, it looks like a more refined Switch, and that's essentially what it is, but there are several notable changes that we found that's worth mentioning. Starting off, the actual build itself will be a bit bigger than the original Switch. Not by too much, but a big enough difference that this image here shows a clear distinction. By that logic, it's safe to guess the screen size will also be a bit larger, but no confirmation as to how big has been said just yet. It's also unclear if the screen will be an LCD screen like the standard Switch model or an OLED screen like the Switch OLED. But one thing the Switch 2 did carry over from the OLED model is the kickstand for tabletop mode. Rather than having a whole plate for a stand, Nintendo has opted to take a more sleek approach with a U-shaped kickstand. Another neat feature that Nintendo made note of is a second USB-C port on the top of the system. On the original models, there was only one on the bottom of the system to connect to the dock and charge when needed. Of course, if your system was in tabletop mode, then that means you couldn't actually charge it while in tabletop mode, so having a second port on the top is definitely useful. Next up are the brand new Joy-Con. These controllers get a size boost as well to match the system as they get longer and will inevitably be more comfortable to hold. The current style for them is mostly black with blue or red outlines around the thumbstick and blue or red rails along the side of the controller when they aren't connected to the system. But when they are connected, there's a whole new mechanic in place. On the Switch, there's a rail system in place where the controllers lock into the system and don't go anywhere without releasing them. But now the Joy-Con has a magnetic system in place where it just connects. Hopefully this will provide a sturdier connection in the long run. Anyone with an older Switch knows after a while the rails of the Joy-Con get a little loose when attached to the system. Another thing to note about the Joy-Con is a new unmarked button below the home button of the right controller. Of course, they didn't show us what its use was, but as time goes on, we should find out more information. The dock also looks a bit different as well, being mostly reminiscent of the OLED dock, but now the front of the system is visible when the console is docked. And alright, let's talk about what's going on with what's on the screen. No folks, you are not seeing things. That is our first look at a brand new Mario Kart game. The first completely new one since 2014. Obviously there's not too much to go off of, but it looks to have an art style similar to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And if that's the case, this could lead to some very interesting and creative tracks that could be making its way to the game. And that's pretty much everything to see from Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo was kind enough to, however, give us a bit more information. First off, the system will be released in 2025, which is great news as we don't have to wait too long for it. Most Nintendo Switch games will be playable on Switch 2, regardless of if you bought them physically or digitally. I don't expect many games to not be compatible. The biggest one to come to mind would have to be Nintendo Labo. And perhaps the biggest piece of news, Nintendo will be holding a dedicated Nintendo Direct centered around Switch 2 on April 2nd. That will most likely be where we get all the information regarding the hardware and the launch titles. I will be covering this Direct once it becomes available, so be sure to subscribe to the channel and keep an eye on my social media pages for when that happens. And that is officially everything we know about Nintendo Switch 2. But of course, we want to know, how excited are you for the system, and what kind of games do you hope will launch with it? Head on over to the comments section here on YouTube and let us know your thoughts.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to watch more videos from Fox, Illinois.